This tutorial will focus on the timesheet functionalities of the Time and Expenses module of Assistance PSA. Once completed, you will know how to book hours on your projects via Outlook retrieval or manually, book expenses on your projects while still in your timesheet, record time spent on your projects via the PSA timer, and make use of all other functionalities available in the timesheet. It is highly recommended that you have completed the course on projects prior to following this tutorial. The timesheet of Assistance PSA is located under the Time and Expenses module of the solution. Once you click on it, you will launch a new window where you will be instantly ready to input your time. 3 options are possible. Let's start with the Outlook retrieval function. Click on this button. Because it is fully embedded in Outlook, PSA will then bring all your Outlook appointments into your timesheet. Notice here the 2 different colors. Yellow indicates that a project has already been assigned to the entry when it was created in Outlook. Gray means that no project has been allocated yet. Double-click on this last record. Now go ahead and select a project for these hours. Once you click Accept, PSA by default will now display the first active item of the project's WBS structure. It will also, by default, display the primary hour type of this employee, determining the hourly rate of the entry. In both cases, you may change the selection by using the drop-down menu. From here, you can also drill down to your project item. Click the magnifying glass. This is especially useful when you need to update the percentage of completion of the item. Simply click in the field and enter the new number. Once you are done, save your data but remain in the same screen. If you have any activities attached to this item, now is also a good time to update them. Click Activities. This time record is related to the kickoff meeting that has just occurred. Check the corresponding box and click Mark Complete. The status of your task will be changed to Completed. Click OK to accept it. Now close the window to go back to your timesheet. Let's continue reviewing the details of your time record. This field will only be displayed if you have activated the Case Management option of your organization's settings. It will allow you to link a specific case to the time booked here. You can modify the date, the period, or the amount of time that was initially scheduled. You can also change the description or add an internal note. At this point, your time record is completed. If you click Accept, you will save and close the entry. In this example, however, you also need to book an expense to the entry. Go to the Expenses tab. Now click on the first line and select a project item. Enter a description and an amount. Notice how PSA will then automatically prepare for a new item. In this example, you have only one expense to enter. The only thing that is left for you to do at this point is attach a document to your entry. Click the attachment icon. Navigate to your document and hit Open. PSA will then bring you back to your expense entry, where you will now see your document displayed as an attachment. Now click Accept, whether you do it here or in the Hours tab. Both your hours and your expenses will be saved. Back in the timesheet screen, you will notice that your time record has turned green. It will remain as such until it is approved. Now let's take a look at your other Outlook appointments. Remember that yellow means a project has already been allocated in Outlook. What you will want to do then is simply open the time entry, validate the information, make any changes if necessary, and click Accept to save the data. Once this is done, the time record will also become green. It is, of course, always possible here to enter your time manually. To do so, you can click New Entry, double-click on a range of cells, or finally right mouse click and select New Entry. From there, follow the same steps as with the other time records. Let's take a look now at a third option for entering your time in PSA's timesheet. Let's take a look at the timer. Click on the button. PSA will open up a new window where you will be instantly ready to record your time. Now hit the Start button. Your timer has begun counting. As with your other timesheet entries, you will have to specify the project information of this record. This, however, doesn't have to be done prior to starting your timer. You can do it during or at the end of your time record. Once again, as with the other timesheet entries, once you've selected a project, PSA will automatically display the first active item of the project, as well as the primary hour type of this employee. And you can also from here drill down to your project item. Today's date will be displayed here by default, no matter where you are in your calendar when you open the timer. As for the hours field, PSA will always book a minimum time of 1/10 of an hour or 6 minutes. It will also round up any time record to this number. Once you've entered a description, simply let the timer run. You can, of course, at any time minimize your screen to free up your desktop. Now, hit the pause button of the timer and click the timer icon to open a new one. Because sometimes you need to stop and momentarily focus on another case or project, PSA will allow you to open multiple timers and have them running and pausing as you go back and forth between different projects. Now click the timer again. Any new timer will be displayed in the right-hand side of the window. If you want a timer to move to the left-hand side, simply click on the Maximize button of that timer. PSA will then make the change. If you don't need a timer, for example the last one that you've just opened, simply click on the icon with the disk and the red X. PSA will ask you if you want to remove it. Click OK. Your timer will be removed and no data will be saved. Now, click on the disk with the green circle of this other timer. PSA will remove it automatically, but in this case it will also save the data. You want to save the data of your last timer as well. Hit the Pause button and fill out the project information. Validate the item and hour type and enter a description. Now save and close the timer. To go back to your timesheet, close the window. You can now see your 2 time records displayed in your timesheet. Let's take a look now at the other functionalities available in your timesheet. All your time records have been saved, but until they're approved, you can still modify them. One easy way to do this is to use the drag and drop functionality. Click on a time entry, and simply use your mouse to change the duration or even the day of the record. No need to worry about your original appointment in Outlook. It will remain intact. You can also copy a time record. For example, your web design status meeting on Wednesday had a second occurrence on Friday. Click on the time entry, right mouse click and select Copy Entry. Now, in the column Friday, position your cursor on the time the meeting occurred. Right mouse click and select Paste Entry. Your new record has been saved. Now double-click on the entry. You can still modify any field here. Change the description and click Accept. Your modification has been saved. If you need to copy more than one record of the same week, you can use the functionality Copy Week. Navigate to the calendar page where you want to copy the time records. For the purpose of this tutorial, we will go to an empty week. It is possible, however, to copy your week even when time records already exist. PSA will simply add the new entries to the timesheet. Now, click Copy Week. PSA will open up a new window. In the left-hand side section, you will find the weeks to be copied. In the right-hand side section, PSA will display the entries of the selected week. You want to copy the week of May the 16th. Click on any day of that week. PSA will then display all the corresponding entries of that week. By default, all the records will be pre-selected. If you wish to remove one, simply click twice in the corresponding box. This will remove the check mark. Once you are done, click Accept to allow the copy. PSA will automatically save the time records. A quick note with regards to the Expenses tab here. Its content will not be copied, as PSA considers that it belongs to the original entries only. You will notice at the bottom of the timesheet the total amount of hours now booked. Once they are approved, these hours will appear in the green line just below. We will complete this tutorial with a look at the different layouts available here. In the top bar of your timesheet, you will recognize some of the familiar views found in your Outlook calendar. With Assistance PSA, you can also display your time records by day, by week, including a full week view, by month, and even on a timeline basis. It is up to you to decide what best suits you. Whatever layout you choose, however, it will still provide you with all the functionalities of the solution. Let's review now the concepts you have seen in this tutorial. When it comes to booking your time and expenses, you will find in the timesheet of Assistance PSA more than one option available to you. At the top, the Outlook retrieval function. Fully embedded in Outlook, PSA will bring all your Outlook appointments into your timesheet with one single click. Another option, almost as easy as the first one, is to manually enter your time. In both cases, you can also enter an expense item and even attach documents to the entry. A third option is to use the PSA timer. This function will let you open one or multiple timers and help you keep track of your billable hours as the day unfolds. Finally, you can also replicate existing time entries by copying one single record or multiple records within a specific week. In all cases, you will be able to post your entry at the resource task level of a project, update your project items, update your project activities, use the drag and drop functionality to change the day and/or duration of your entries, but only until they are approved, and select a case if the case management option has been activated in your settings. Finally, when it comes to your timesheet layout, PSA will also offer different views to choose from. But whatever you decide, it will still provide you with the same complete functionalities as the ones described above. Since the release of this tutorial, a series of enhancements have been done to the Timesheet module. We will take a look at them now, one by one in Assistance PSA. The first thing you will notice at the top of your timesheet is the calculation of hours still to be booked for this employee. The number displayed here comes from the employee record, where it is possible to define a specific amount of hours to work per week. From this number, PSA will then deduct the hours booked in the timesheet and establish the remaining hours to be entered in order for this week to be considered completed. Note that this feature will act as an indicator only. Whatever the number of hours entered here, it will not prevent the timesheet from being approved. Closely related to this feature is the Report Ready option. Employees now have the possibility to report their timesheet as completed until a specific date. The information entered here will then be saved in the employee record and will become available for reporting. The Report Ready can be a useful indicator for central administration of when to start the process of approving and billing hours. This option is not mandatory and can be left as is. Now let's open a time record and take a look at the Expenses tab. When adding an expense to a time record, it is now possible to indicate that the cost amount, including tax if applicable, should be reimbursed to the employee of the entry. If this box is checked, PSA Integration Services will consider the cost when connecting to your financial backend solution. Once approved, if this is your business process, the expense will then be posted to your accounts payable for reimbursement to the employee. You are now ready to enter your time and expenses in the timesheet of Assistance PSA. Your next step is to do the exercises defined in the lab timesheet.